Welcome to the Data Security Talk, the podcast that keeps you updated with trends and approaches to business data security. I'm Bill Falk, President Go-to-Market for Actifile. And today I am thrilled to be with my good friend, colleague, partner, Alex Courson from CyberSells. Alex, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about you and CyberSells.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me, Bill. I love working with you. I love hanging out with you. So this is a fun way to do it. So for the people that do not know what or who CyberSells is, we are an organization that is pretty much agnostic to the channel, and we help both vendors and MSPs as well as VARs. So what we do is on the vendor side, we help develop channel programs and enable the MSPs to monetize and purchase better, faster, stronger. And then on the MSP side, we have a program called TechSellerate that allows us to help them enable, accelerate their sales, make sure that their CRMs are working properly, make sure that their processes are there so that we can help them monetize and grow.
Outstanding. So how did you get into this part of the channel?
That is a very long and winding path, but it all started in user activity monitoring and security forensic software, moved into backup where I met you, sir. And then we took a fun little yellow brick road tour, and I was a VP of sales and marketing, did the CRO, CMO gig for a little bit, and realized that what I had been doing over and over and over again was I really was just being that conduit for vendors to sell their software or to communicate their value proposition better to MSPs. And then by default, when I was doing, business development, I was really teaching MSPs how to MSP better using the tools that we were peddling. So after a stint with MSP 360, heading up their sales and marketing, the world shifted, the globe changed, wars happened, and Brian, the CEO over there at the time, he and I decided that it would be really cool if I left and started a service that focused completely on that for other vendors and other MSPs. So I just broadened the horizons. So I've been doing it for about 3 years, and we've been having fun.
Sounds awesome. Would you say that in your experience, not just with CyberSells in the last 3 years, but would you say that what you're doing is more needed, less needed, more relevant, less relevant over the last 10 or 15 years? In other words, like, what have you seen evolve in the channel that when it comes to these sort of hybrid go-to-market models?
Yes. So that's a really, really, really good question. Especially for your audience, because you've got vendors, VARs, direct people that are interested in purchasing, and then you have your channel through your MSPs. So what I have found over doing this for the last 20 years is that I have found it is more and more necessary to make sure that each channel and when I say channel, I'm saying a pass-through channel of distribution, whether it is direct, MSP, VAR, disti, is very segmented so that you are treating them each with respect and making sure that there's no sort of channel cannibalization, right? It also can be very frustrating for sales reps inside of vendors when they're selling direct, but then oops, somebody found out that they have an MSP, and then it gets frustrating for the sales reps themselves, right? So having clear rules of engagement, making sure that you are always focused on the customer experience above everything when it comes to how we sell. That has gotten, as the world has gotten more complicated, that has become more and more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe in another podcast or conversation, we can talk more about this more and the evolution of channels in their place, and really the hybrid or co-selling models that are very relevant, very popular as things have changed in the market. But we can save that for another time.
Yes. We can go on for hours on that one.
Yeah. So, and more relevant to this podcast and audience. So we're talking about the MSP part of the channel. We're talking about their involvement with cybersecurity. We all know the demand and so forth that's happening around us. That is just, it feels like it's really accelerating in the marketplace. What are you seeing the MSPs struggling with most when it comes to bringing these solutions to market?
Right now, a lot of the MSPs that I am talking to on a regular basis, they've got three issues. One is not knowing how to monetize the tools that they already have, or how to turn what they are offering into enough of a differentiator to attract the business. So it almost turns into a stagnant motion where you've got this really cool tool and you really want to use it because you know that you need to use it for your clients, but then you don't know how to turn that into sales or expansion. So you're kind of stuck. So that's a big one. The other ones are not understanding how to execute properly. So you might have all the pieces in place, but then the execution just sort of, you get A, B, C, D, and then you just can't get to Z because you don't know those little steps in the process of how to launch properly. And then third is just lack of delegation, which I think has been the problem from day one, because a lot of these MSPs that started, and I'm sure some in the audience right now are guys that were like, hey, I'm really good at this thing, I'm going to do it. And then they said, oh crap, I have to market and sell this too. And you'd rather do what you're good at, but you also don't want to spend the money on necessarily having other people do other things for you when you're just as good or you're just as smart as them. I'm just telling you, it's time to delegate. Even if you get like a VA or something, just delegate.
Yeah. And I would say that if you think about what's happened over the last couple decades in this marketplace, that the MSPs have had to evolve from being all about the IT and making sure the lights are on, the phone was ringing, the lights are blinking in the data center kind of expertise, like really deep technical expertise, to where, particularly with this topic, these are like important business issues. We're talking like business survivability issues for the end customer in the extreme sense, or on the other end of the spectrum, how does the end customer, how do they grow within the construct that there's a lot of pressure from external forces to get after the things that they recognize as sensitive, and again, you have cyber insurance and some of these other big business drivers that I think the challenge for a lot of MSPs is how to sit in a boardroom and have a discussion about business issues like this that will drive the engagement that they end up having to deliver to that end customer. It's much more about the business issues than the tech.
And that's what I'm saying when I'm saying differentiation and making sure that they are able to differentiate as well as delegate, right? So, for example, you guys have liability of if your clients fail an audit or a compliance audit, and you are holding the bag, right? You're the one that's responsible for your client's infrastructure. Unless they have that waiver of liability, which I know all of you hate sending, but you have to, because at this point, it's one of those situations where it's like you're at the liability if you don't get them to sign off on it, or you have to get better at selling it to them and saying, I am your your expert. I am the person that is the authority in this space, whether you used to be or not. And it's kind of your responsibility at this point to be that expert in compliance, cyber insurance, or align yourself with a vendor like Actifile or the other organizations out there that will help you tick off those boxes so that you can get compliant and get qualified for cyber insurance. You have to pull in your resources and your team. And that's what I mean by delegation and differentiation right there. So if we can set you up to succeed and not be at a liability and not be at a risk, and yet also show up and be profitable based on these choices that you've made by just doing what you really need to do anyways. I mean, it's a slam dunk. It's just, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And like on the other end of the spectrum, like what are you seeing MSPs struggle with, and also what are they succeeding with when it comes to generating demand from new customers, or actually from current customers, when it comes to the cybersecurity services?
So I've seen a lot of actual success in expanding. So basically, I mean, and Bill, you already know this, right? So we came from a similar school where it's a lot cheaper to sell into a customer that you already have versus going out and getting new. Now, obviously, we still need the new ones. Forgive me, I've got a dog in the background that the mowers decided to come right as we're doing this, but that's okay. So
love it.
I know, it's welcome
real life stuff.
Welcome to working from home. But yeah, so it is important to note that we've got the pathway already kind of figured out. But yeah, they need to understand that they've got successes already there by just expanding and saying, hey, you have to do this. Again, it's showing up as you're the expert, right? Be the authority and say, hey, this is the thing that you need in order to be compliant. This is the thing that you need in order to pass through and get cybersecurity insurance, which the majority of companies need now. I mean, any service-based business needs to be able to pass. Anybody that deals with any sort of PCI, anybody that deals with any sort of, I mean, really any personal details, and especially government agencies or contractors of government agencies, healthcare, anybody that touches those has an opportunity to sell into and expand. And for the MSPs, now one of the things that I've noticed is when the MSPs say, I can't because I'm supposed to be handling all of this soup to nuts for them anyways, the issue, the rebuttal for me is that this wasn't soup to nuts 3 years ago when you sold that contract. This is developments, and they need to be comfortable talking about the developments and that the cost of those goes up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting. Again, the alignment of these issues, again, for them, back to my point about understanding the business issues. So if the demand is there in general for cybersecurity solutions, unless someone's been living in a cave, the leadership and the end customer knows that there's risk, right? Or there's something they should be paying attention to. They may not use risk as the word, but what are you seeing the best techniques these days for the MSP to actually approach the market and find, build a pipeline? What's happening?
Yeah. So system-oriented sales nurturing is going to be a big part of that. And it's also about showing them that you have the knowledge and the resources, and you're sharing the tips and tricks ahead of time. And then, presenting yourself as that sort of expert in the field. So, showing them that you've got articles, that you're thinking about them. It's really just communication, and it's overly communicating. I will tell you a story though about one of my MSP clients, and he's killing it. He's doing such a good job. He actually was, I don't know how he does it, but he he ends up on the most random stages because he has gotten niched down so much. He knows his market. He knows exactly who he wants to sell to. And he shows up as the expert in his field by just speaking and showing up as a resource as that expert in the field. And of course, he has a QR code where he does a cybersecurity assessment. And then they opt in for that. And it's just like taking candy from a baby at that point because he has all their information. This is selling into new, right? This is not selling and expanding into existing, because that's just sharing the knowledge and thinking of them and ongoing conversations about, hey, you're liable, right? But this is actual, selling from a stage. All he's doing, he's not saying anything that any of you don't already know, but he's saying it. And I think that is really the problem, because a lot of people don't take the time to educate the masses or educate their niche on what's necessary, especially with the compliances. And everybody's even at more risk now. If you guys have seen what AI can do at this point, it takes one person with a little bit of AI knowledge to go in and just wreck, data and have access to data if they do anything, remotely out of sync of what you normally are looking like. A firewall is not going to do it, right? So you have to be able to educate them now so that you have the fear of God in them, right? And you're sort of like, I hate to say you're doing this, but you're kind of like poking the knife in, saying, does it hurt? Does it hurt? Does it hurt? And then say, oh, I have a solution, right? So if you can do that, then that's been working really, really well.
Yeah, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. So when it comes to the from the vendor side, like from Actifile's perspective, there's a couple things that provide benefit to the MSP. One being the potential for them to attract new customers because they're expanding, they're enhancing their service ability with this new tool, and generate what I refer to as newfound revenue from either their basic customers or for new ones. So what's your take on that approach?
So I think Actifile actually has done it really, really well. And the nice thing is I got to see the Actifile process as well as helping MSPs activate it. So it's great because I've been from the beginning to the end stages of how Actifile is sold, implemented, and executed, right? So with the way Actifile has done it, and kudos to all of us that we can do this together, but the path to revenue that you came up with, Bill, is that you've got you're not only showing MSPs how to identify vulnerabilities, which is powerful enough, right? So if you can show people how to identify the vulnerabilities that their clients or themselves or their environments have, that alone is powerful. But then you also have a way to turn it, flip it, and say, okay, and here's how you profit from it while still helping your client. And it ends up working for everybody. And that's really a solid vendor that is going to enable an MSP or a reseller or a distributor to not only present it, execute it properly, profit from it, but have their end user so grateful that they did that it just makes sense. Actifile is a bit of a unicorn in that you can do that. And so a really good vendor MSP relationship is formed there. The next step then is enabling those MSPs to go through that path to revenue and hold their hands every step of the way, which I know we're all in the process of presenting those, putting those modules together, showing them how to do it, almost presenting campaigns in a box. Those are the vendors that are really successful in the market when they realize that the sale doesn't stop when the MSP signs up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's an intersection of the previous topic, which was all about basic blocking and tackling, market education for the MSP, enabling the MSP to participate in that on their own so that they can build their pipeline. And that intersection of where Actifile is, which is creating a segment within the broader marketplace, right? Because there's admittedly not a lot of pent-up demand for what we're doing today yet. And we all know that.
I disagree with that, actually. I think there is a demand, but I think it's one of those things where people don't know what it is that they're missing. And this, guys, if you haven't looked at Actifile, you just like the podcast, great, but go actually look at it, because it's a new way of tackling data security where you've got more of a purview on everything, on every single file, what happens, how it moves, and it makes life so much easier. So I think there is a demand for it. They just don't know what they're looking for, because it's that thing that's missing. You know what I mean? It's that intangible where they don't know to demand it, because they don't know it can be as easy as it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I think there's a I don't know what the visual would be, a matrix or whatever, to show where the low-hanging fruit would be for
your matrix
MSPs. And what's that?
You like your matrices and pie charts.
Yes, I do.
Always
visual.
It's always a matrix.
But the point is that, like with anything, there are places where MSP should go. Like where's the easiest path for them to find new customers? And obviously bigger is always better, but for sure, if they're heavily regulated, then yes, the demand curve is in their favor. It's in our favor, because again, unless the end customer isn't paying attention, they know that they need to do these things. And to your point, they may not know exactly they may not say data security, they may not say Actifile, but they sure know that they got a gap in their stack or in their solution, and that the MSP can then be there to help articulate how to fill that need, for sure. Okay. And then, so for the MSP, there's the, like I mentioned, there's the ability to attract new customers because you're enhancing your service ability along these lines, and find new customers and therefore more revenue, and more revenue from your base. There's also other reasons why that have less to do with revenue, but more to do with protecting the backside. So we talk about the shared liability that exists in this example. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was interesting, right? So we were just talking actually before this about that sort of shared liability, where a couple years ago, I want to say 3 years ago, it got released out in Australia that the MSPs were going to be liable for data loss, or if they couldn't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that their clients were not protected. So all of the stateside clients were asking me, like, is that going to happen here? I'm like, dang straight, it's going to happen here. If it happened there, it's 100% happening here. Mm-hmm. So we, and sure enough, we saw, there, it's a bit of the Wild West still, which, I mean, I remember with EMR, when electronic medical records was starting to happen, everybody thought that they could just do whatever, as long as they had certain things covered. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of the Wild West, but at the end of the day, you are liable and can be held liable, especially if your clients have a good lawyer, if you're not protecting them. So that's why I'm saying, like, those waivers of liability, huge, but better, just get them protected. And they don't have a say in the matter, right? I'm at a liability if I don't cover you. It is associated with an extra cost. Times are changing. It is what it is. So it's necessary at this point.
100%. So, and again, we talk to our partners and prospective partners that just about that. And with Actifile, the ability to have this dashboard that illustrates, it's like the heat map, like where's the sensitive data across all my customers? Well, it's blaring over here. Well, that's the first customer I need to go talk to. And it provides this this illustration of where the risk is across all of your customers. Okay, then the other one, which is somewhat similar as a demand driver in the marketplace, is cyber insurance. What's your take on that?
So cyber insurance is something that basically everybody's going to have at some point. It's starting to be like trickle down, where it started at the enterprises and now it's going to the mom and pops, and they all have to qualify for some sort of cyber insurance anyways. So again, this is something that MSPs, it's not even take advantage of it. You all should know this by now. And I don't say that to be condescending or to say shame on you if you're not on top of it. I'm saying this because it's time if you haven't done this yet. Cyber insurance is going to be a thing that people are going to get fined if they're not getting these, and you're going to end up saving people money by making them go through these paths. And again, that path to revenue that Actifile is providing, it's not just on Actifile's behalf, right? Actifile is an element. It's not the whole thing. It's an element of what you need to do in order to qualify for a discount in cyber insurance, as well as just qualifying for cyber insurance in itself. So if you can take your clients through that, or your prospective clients through that, I mean, heck, honestly, in my head, that's lead generation for you, and say, hey, I'm going to help you qualify and get a discount. How powerful is that you can actually say that to somebody before they've even worked with you? Mm-hmm. And you're that intuitive and that informed into everybody's infrastructure. So it's something that you have to do anyways. So you might as well do it the right way so that everybody wins.
And that is such a strong message that it's coming, it's going to happen. And the message to the MSPs is you might as well get ahead of the curve. For sure, some of the more innovative cyber insurers recognize the intersection of the tech together with the insurance product. They would love to know what it is that they're actually insuring, which is the data, right? And to make it more tangible. And what I'm seeing, I think it's early days, but what I'm seeing is that the innovative insurers are going to ultimately drive the costs down for the participants in the market that have the right protections in place, because this makes sense. They're a better risk, and therefore the premiums will come down. And again, I think it's early days, but it's something that the more mature and innovative MSP should be bringing to their customers as a value add, for sure.
Absolutely. And not just picking and choosing. I know that a lot of MSPs are picking and choosing and like cherry picking who they go to with this. Everyone, because I mean, everyone is going to have to get this at some point.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think that's great information, Alex. And I thank you very much for your time. I think it's very valuable content for our audience. Any parting shots, words of advice?
Parting shots, man. All right. So I just wanted to thank you for letting me come on here. I love anytime I can help our community, our channel, vendors, MSPs. As long as we all are growing together, then we're all growing, which is amazing. If anybody is interested in our program, I'm actually going to give you all my personal email address, because it'll probably be easier just to get a hold of me, and I'll shoot you over to the team. It's alex@cyber-sells.com. You can also go to our website and check out TechSellerate with an S, not a C. That's what everybody kind of gets all squirmy on that. But if you're looking to figure out how to monetize the tools that you already have, including Actifile, we help you with all of that, as well as pipeline accountability and making sure that you don't miss any money on the table.
Outstanding. Thanks again for your valuable insight, and we will talk soon. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.